Blog Talk Radio.
Jesus is the best thing that happened to the game since the tennis shoe was invented.
On the outside, lace up. The world I face up. The score on anybody. It's war on everybody. The new guys come in bloodshot between the eyes. As long as they selling that merchandise. And what goes in, don't come back. The color might be green, but it's also black. It's red, I know many heads that spent bloodshed. Cursing converses, dead and broke heads. Not every time Dick Harry or Joe Smith skip the small beans, ponies, and K-Swift. High school and college coaches getting dollars with kickbacks and scholarships. Them slave ships. Converses for the pros, kids with Fila. Reebok, Nikes, New Balance, my Adidas. Ain't part of their clique. Spinning on the channel on kicks. BS in the politics. Converses for the pros, kids with Fila. Reebok, Nikes, New Balance, my Adidas. Ain't part of their clique. Spinning on the channel on kicks. BS in the politics. Politics of them sneaker pimps. 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 Hey.
Hello?
Hello, Kenny. I couldn't hear you initially. Welcome to the show. As I did, I don't know if everybody heard me. This is Kenny Anderson, one of the best ball players to come out of New York. He dominated the New York high school basketball scene. He took his talents down to Georgia, dominated, made it to the Final Four. Him, Brian Oliver, Dennis Scott. At that point, he turned around, went pro. Went to the New Jersey Nets, dominated the league. He became an NBA All-Star, one of my favorite ball players. And, again, as I was stating, welcome to the show, brother. You at this point, this is the first time in your life you're a bench warmer. What's happening?
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks for having me on the show, man.
Oh, man, it's a pleasure. It's my pleasure. Hey, for those who don't know, this is Kenny Anderson, number one player in the nation, coming out of high school. This was a dude who dominated the New York basketball scene. Now, if you don't know, Kenny Anderson comes from a long lineage of point guards in the city of New York. Kenny, you come behind Pearl, you come behind Mark Jackson, Rod Strickland, Kenny Smith. How did you become Kenny Anderson and dominate the league, dominate New York City the way you did? Who were some of your influences outside of those guys?
Well, those guys were, my mentor, Vincent Smith. Kenny Smith's older brother mentored me and, mentored both of us. The Smith family, that's like my second family. I lived about 10 minutes from them in another building in Left Rack City, Queens, New York. We went to the same high school. Kenny Smith went to Archbishop Malloy High School. I went to Archbishop Malloy High School. And, he was somebody that I looked up to because he was, he was there. I was able to touch him, through Vincent Smith. He was a McDonald All-American. I wanted to be a McDonald's All-American. He was an All-City player. I wanted to be an All-City player. The things go, the list goes on and on, what he accomplished. And, I wanted to do the same. I set my goals and my work ethic. Me and Vince, we did, we just worked, man, in the recreation center in Queens, New York, Lost Battalion Hall. That was my outlet, basketball. And that's, he had told me that was going to be my my way out of the struggle so I could take care of my mother. At the time I was just thinking about, getting a scholarship. I wasn't thinking about going pro. He was like, hey, your mother don't have no money. If you don't, if you're not able to get a scholarship, you won't be going to college. So, I just put everything, I just did everything in my powers, to do that, to get a scholarship. And that was also in the classroom and everything, man. Stayed away from negativity, all bad. I had to get rid of some of my good friends who I hung out with, my childhood friends. So I just sacrificed, man, to make it.
Man, you know what? I'm glad you brought that up, because one of the things I want to touch on is things like, even though you left school early, the one and done rule, I think the process has been eliminated. And what I mean by that is, as you just spoke about, you talked about inside and outside the classroom, removing yourself from negativity. Now, I do understand that at 16, the whole city was buzzing about Kenny. But it was still a process. You just said you thought about, okay, I need to get to college first and foremost, and then we could think about, first I need to get these books in order. Then I need to get my game in order. And then I need to get, and then we'll matriculate from that point. Do you think the elimination of those values have stunted the growth of today's basketball players?
Oh, no doubt. I also think if you're elite, there's a small percentage of guys that could go right from high school and go into the NBA. They should do it. But I still think there's a bunch of kids on a higher level or a higher percentage that needs college, and that should go experience that. If you need college, it's not just a stepping stone to the NBA, but it's also a stepping stone to life. Something they can't take away from you, your education. Like I like to tell some of the kids that I mentor and that my travel team that I coach, use your scholarship. Don't let it use you. You know what I mean? Work extremely hard, in the classroom so you could the way this world works now, if you're not playing ball, you're an entertainer or, a lawyer, doctor, someone on high. As far as your certification, as far as education is not up to par, you can't get a job, so it's so different nowadays, you know what I mean? So I would tell these kids, a lot of kids can jump and go right to the pros, but it's a small it's a small percentage, the elite players. But I think, you need education, you need school. I love the college experience. I had a great time. I wasn't even ready to leave my sophomore year, but I had to take care of my family, my coach, Coach Crimmins, did his research. He said, hey, man, you're going to go 1, 2, or 3. So, that's why I decided to come out my sophomore year. But I was enjoying the college experience. I didn't, you fear what you don't know on the other side. I was having a great tech in Atlanta, and then just being a kid, it was, I didn't have to deal with all the other things that once you get into the NBA, you have to deal with.
I can definitely relate to that. I mean, I'm not from a professional standpoint, from an educational standpoint, and experience on campus standpoint. Those are formidable years that you never get back, and if you don't experience, you definitely cheated yourself. Now, with that being said, you mentioned Coach Crimmins. I remember during this period, Syracuse was the deal, St. John's was the deal, and other institutions that are closer, North Carolina, what have you. I remember North Carolina bidding for your services. How did you settle on Georgia Tech instead of down the street, not down the street, but in your home state or even in your home city, St. John's and Syracuse? What stood out about Georgia Tech?
Well, Coach Crimmins, he recruited my mother. My mother, New Yorker. He's from New York, the Bronx. Great charisma, people's person. Number one, fell in love with Atlanta. He let me know. He let me play. He let me play like I was in my high school days. Gave me the ball. He said, "Hey man, just go to class, and the ball is yours, and you can just run the team." And that's what I was looking for. And he was a stand-up type of coach, meaning a lot of coaches tend to get you there to their school once you sign. You got different motives, but he was genuine. He just kept his word, let me do my thing. And wind up playing with some of the great players, Dennis Scott, Brian Alva, Oliver. You know, they dubbed us Lethal Weapon 3, went all the way to the Final Four my freshman year. It just was a school, and I tell all my kids, man, go somewhere where you're going to be able to showcase your skill, your talent. And Georgia Tech was a fine fit for me. It was a perfect fit for me. You know, I couldn't have picked a better choice. And plus, my mother wanted me to go there, so she was already set. You know, if I went away to school, she wanted me to be with Coach Crimmins.
Okay, that's awesome. That's awesome. Anytime you get the blessings from your mother, you definitely going. You know, you're definitely halfway in the bag at that.
No, I ain't get the. I got the blessing. I ain't get the blessing. She told me you going to Georgia Tech. She's like, that's where you going. I was like, all right. Yeah, man. She wanted. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Well, back to New York. Who were some of the guys that you competed against that brought the best out of Kenny Anderson?
Yeah, I was in an era of it wasn't that many great point guards, but they were pretty good. I didn't never get the chance to play them. You know, we had David Kane, went to Stevenson High School. He went on to St. John's. Adrian Audrey was younger than me. He went to Talentine High School. He went on to Syracuse. Rest in peace, you know, Malik Sealy. He was like a forward 3. You know, we played against him. You know, he went to Talentine. He went on to St. John's. Went on to play in the NBA for Indiana and Minnesota. So it wasn't that many. It was Conrad McCray. These was all city players that had great careers and went on to, you know, Conrad McCray was at Brooklyn Tech. He passed away, rest in peace. He went to Syracuse. He was a big man, though, center.
Yeah, I remember him.
You know, so I played against Khalid Reeves, who went to Arizona, who was at our rival school, Chrysler King, out of Queens. So he was a very good guard. He went on to Arizona. So you know, it was spread out. You know, public school ball around that time was Lloyd Daniels. I didn't get the chance to play against him in high school because he was in public school and I was in Catholic school. But Lloyd Daniels was one of the baddest dudes ever, you know, to come out of New York City. He was bad, man.
Yeah,
but it was a lot of great high school players, but they didn't transition on to big time college players. They went to schools and was okay, you know.
Right. So in college, who was the guy? You know, what I always wonder, you know, like we all played ball in the rec centers or whatever. I'm a former football, baseball player. We all played. How does it feel to be the guy, you know, like we all know you coming down the court, you put a move on somebody and you go, yeah, I killed him. How does it feel to go from New York City, doing your thing, I'm the number one guy in the nation, and then you go down to Georgia Tech, and then that Bobby Hurley moment happens? And it's nothing to you because I know the reporters always go, what were you thinking when you're doing that? And nobody is thinking as they're doing it. But how does it feel going, you know, I just smoked it. And then you go to your dorm room and you look on the Sports Center because me and you came up in the era where the Sports Center was still relatively new and you hurried up to go see it. How does it feel being Kenny Anderson and seeing yourself on TV doing that thing to Bobby Hurley?
Oh, it was great, man. But I was, coming down from New York to Atlanta, being the number one recruit, it was a lot of pressure on me, to come in and turn the program around. I didn't know if I was going to be able to do that, but I knew I would be able to play well, and then playing against Bob Hurley. He came out of New Jersey, and I was in New York. We were the top guards in the metropolitan area. So he went to St. Anthony. So we both would, we both was talked about a lot of in the papers and things of that nature. And he went to Duke. So I wanted to compete against him always. He was a fierce competitor, great college point guard. But that night when we played him, I just wanted to do my part and destroy Duke. Not destroy him, but destroy Duke. I wanted to win because they was always, winning. They was a top ACC school. And, I just had a big game. And the move, it's just instinct, man, kicked in.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just instinct. I'm just coming down. And, with my ball handling skills, I just went at him. I didn't, it wasn't nothing. It's not like I went like a robot. I'm gonna do this, do that.